Centre in Birmingham and the Manchester United Stadium. Now in a Belgian prison, he denies these were part of a plan to attack Britain. Daniel Sam for BBC News.
The RSPCA and the British Heart Foundation have been trying to send about the with other charities and for screening donors in order to target the wealthier ones. Donors do not respond practices, so what I need was to contain or object to it. Our personal finance from the signing offices here. Tell us more about what's gone on with the punishment here. Well, these charities have millions of supporters and screen those supporters to see which ones provide the richest pickings. They already have their names, addresses, what they gave last time, for instance. They've been able to marry that up with information from outside agencies about, for instance, the value of their homes, what they're earning, and from that they know who to target, for instance, who might bequeath them money in their wills. And that's not something that people were asked about when they gave the information over. They've also been accused of sharing personal information of their supporters with other charities to a greater extent than people might have expected. And in the case of the RSPCA, when supporters had actually ticked a box saying they didn't want to have their information shared. Now the charities say they thought they were doing the right thing, but they've been fined £25,000 for the RSPCA, £18,000 for the British Heart Foundation, and the Office of the Information Commissioner let it be known that it's only because they're charities that they haven't been fined 10 times as much, and it's afraid that other charities have been behaving in the same way.
Okay, Simon, thanks very much again. Simon Office there with the latest on that. Now, the US President-elect Donald Trump says that the government should cancel plans for 2 new presidential planes, describing them as ridiculously expensive. Mr. Trump said the cost for the new Boeing 747 Air Force Ones, more than £4 billion, were out of control. Earlier, he'd announced that he'd sold all of the shares that he owned in companies, including some in Boeing, back in June of this year. A lorry driver has been jailed for 14 months for killing a mother and daughter on a pedestrian crossing in Hull. Neville Thatcher was looking in his side mirrors when he drove through a red light and hit Zena Jackson, who's 43, and his 6-year-old daughter, Sedalia, in April. The judge told Fletcher, who's 55, that he'd made an appalling mistake with catastrophic consequences. A leading international study of test results in science, maths and reading has found that pupils in the UK are still lagging behind students in many other countries. The PISA rankings are collated by the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. England was the best performing UK nation. Wales had the lowest results, and Scotland's scores have declined, as our education editor Bramwell Jeffries explains.
Can you illuminate the difference between a practice and an exam?
Scotland's long been proud of its schools. Today, that pride was severely dented, down in science, maths and reading in global tests. In truth, things have been slipping for a little while. The Education Secretary has the job of getting it back on track. Plans to assess pupils more have met opposition in Scotland. Today in Holyrood, he said no change was not an option.
A strength of Scotland's education system has always been in collaboration, a sense of national shared endeavour, but we now must be clear, reform is required. This data reinforces the case for radical change that the government is determined to pursue.
He also wants to give schools a bit more freedom. But it's not that long since Scotland changed what children learn. A new curriculum some teachers found confusing. The man who runs the global tests told me Scotland needs to focus.
The challenge for Scotland is to move from an independent curriculum that spells out how the world should be to an implemented curriculum, to actually make sure that